Hello internets, this is Bone Carlos coming to you live from Daybreak LE to bring you another StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we're going to be looking at two players that are tip-top Grandmasters level of play. In fact, they're so high up that I dare say they are above Grandmasters into Supreme Grand... I'm kidding, these guys are... We got ORRY spawning as the red Zerg. We have Sabu spawning as the blue Protoss, and I know ORRY, I do believe ORRY is either high gold or mid-level platinum, so I'm going to assume that Sabu is along the same level skill-wise. And since this is going to go ahead and be a PVZ, I expect, it looks like it's either going to be a Forge Fast Expand, or it's going to be a regular build order, but just using your gateways, your cybernetics cores, yada yada yada. And this is actually something that I've been playing around with a little bit more against Zerg, going into Fast Expand, going into gateway, cybernetics core, finishing off your wall off completely, and then getting your second base and then hitting them hard at around the 9-10 minute mark with 7 or 8 gates. So that's something I've been doing recently, and it's fairly successful, fairly not. It comes and goes. Again, Zerg is my least favorite matchup just because I feel like I've won this match. It shouldn't be that difficult, and all of a sudden they somehow end up winning me, beating me quite handily. So that's it for that. But like I said, this is a new map for Season 7, so Daybreak. Pretty easy to get your second, fairly easy to get your third, and actually this is actually a Season 7 map. I'm thinking about a different map that was introduced in Season 6. I can't exactly remember what the name is called, but it looks like, wow, Sabu is getting really aggressive or really greedy. He's going straight for the Nexus first before any kind of gateway, any kind of forge actually, and I would be a bit antsy about doing this, especially if he's already, he's already scouted out that the spawning pool is going down. No second, no expansion is down just yet, so I would be a bit antsy to put down a Nexus first and then a Forge, just in case there's any kind of quick Zergling play, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Zerglings just rushing into your base is no bueno. And it looks like ORRY already has his the gas that he needed, exactly the 100 that he needed for the metabolic boost. So his Zerglings are going to have their wings very, very quickly, and they're going to be able to run that much faster. The Overlord is finally scouting around for ORRY, so he's going to know that it's going to be a very fast Nexus. I mean, it's almost done, while Sabu is blocking off the natural of ORRY. Good for him. I mean, he could place down maybe a single cannon here or here just to block any kind of never mind. Guess he just put down a pylon there just to delay that expansion that much faster. He's going to go ahead and put down double assimilator very quickly. A mass exodus of probes are going to go ahead and get transferred over. Really, he wants to step up on this probe production, because right now he does finally have a nice, decent wall off, but not that many probes. I mean, in the units tab, we only see 19 probes, and about a 5-minute mark. If you're going to be fast expanding, you want to have a lot more than that. Finally, the the pylon does go down for Sabu. ORRY quickly takes a second and quickly takes a third as well. And this is where the dangers come. He canceled that just to... Sabu. You never really want to do stuff like that. I mean, you cancel the cybernetics core. Not only did he lose minerals, but he lost that much more time in bringing out his units. I mean, right now he's not really... He does have plenty of chrono boost available for him to be able to start trading out those probes. But as soon as these hatcheries pop, your economic advantage is going to go down to nil. And ORRY is just going to go ahead and go along his normal tech path, putting down a Roach Warren. It just popped. Still not getting a second extractor yet. He is putting up an Evo chamber, but without a second extractor, I fail to see how effective it's going to be. I mean, he could start his upgrades very early and just continue on throughout the game and just get a slow progression on his upgrades. So that's just, it depends on him. Looks like Sabu is pulling out his first Stalker to chase away any kind of... Well, looks like that Overlord already saw that cybernetics core done, doesn't want to lose a single Overlord. quite yet. And in the production tab, we see nothing too crazy. I mean, we already see +1 weapons for Sabu. He's taking down the 3rd assembly. I mean, why not grab a 4th while keep churning out those probes? He's putting down a Twilight Council, so I'm interested to see exactly what his play is at the moment. I doubt he's just going to use it for blink play since he doesn't have any other gateways that are being produced quite yet. So this tells me it's going to go along the lines of a Dark Templar or a High Templar harass, while ORRY is doing the sensible thing by just putting up 3 spine crawlers at his natural expansion. More than likely, as soon as they pop and as soon as he gets that creep spread, he's going to put him right here, right in front of that ramp to get himself a nice little block off. But he's pretty much just gearing himself up for that 8, 9, 10 minute push that I was talking about earlier. But with the structures that are already on the field of play, I doubt that's any kind of attack is gonna happen anytime soon. Looks like Sabu is researching Blink. He's finally starting to put down a bunch of gateways, already 5 in production with this one over here at the start of the ramp. We're gonna see it's gonna turn up to 6 gateways that are going to be able to use in the following attack, but really this is a bit late. These aren't going to be done until I would say about the 10-minute mark or so. And factor in the time it takes them to turn into warp gates, to send out a probe over here to put down your forward pylon, warping your units. It's going to be fairly too late, and ORRY is going to have enough time to be able to shell up some sort of defense with units and spine crawlers. Sabu is just really not doing anything much else. I mean, he is getting supply blocked fairly frequently. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd time he has been supply blocked. And he's still churning out those upgrades. I mean, he's researching +2 weapons. So very interesting for him. He's going to put down another gateway and another robotics facility, so that brings the gateway total up to 7 with a single robotics facility. It's going to be very interesting play for him, especially since he doesn't have his 4th Vespene geyser yet, or hasn't even decided to take his 3rd base quite yet. This is a lot of structures to support for 2 bases, really, unless he only decides to plan on building pure observers out of this. He can't really build immortals or colossi while at the same time supporting all of these warp gates. So right now he's just saving up his gas and minerals for those warp cycles, while ORRY is taking his both of his extractors and his final one at his expansion. So he's going to have plenty of gas for the time being. He's probably going to go ahead and switch off into Infestor play, or probably into Mutalisk. Still no lair at the moment. Right now he's just droning up very heavily. In the units tab, he has 65 drones, and one more larva inject is going to bring him up to about 80, which is around the magic number you want for Zerg in the early game. Finally, the Stalkers are pushing across the field, but ORRY having control of this Nog tower, he does spot it, and he is building up those mass Zerglings and Roaches right off the bat. This Queen is going to go down fairly quickly. A couple of volleys and it is over. This hatchery is going to go down very quickly as well. I mean, it's about time he starts scooting these drones out of here. You want to save these drones ASAP, ORRY. You want to say, there you go. You don't want to lose any sort of drones at the moment. The blink is revealed, so ORRY knows what he's dealing with. He does nothing else too crazy is going on in his base. He's just being cool, calm, and collective at the moment. I mean, he has a small force of Roaches and Zerglings, and he immediately retakes that 3rd hatchery, while this Stalker force is fairly potent at the moment. No Infestor play as of yet. Finally, the hatchery is going to be morphed into a lair. It's just about done, but still not going to be any kind of Infestor play anytime soon. So he does have double Evo going up, so he's going to be able to be up ahead on the upgrade front for now. But right now, a little bit caught out of position. He's going to get a couple of free roach kills up until the main force of ORRY gets into the fray. But still, that blink play is saving a lot of those Stalkers. As soon as that shield does degenerate, he blinks them back, and wow, that is just too many roaches for Sabu to deal with. He blinks away. He did his damage. He's going to go home. At the income tab, we see Harvester count up to 72. So in that entire battle, ORRY managed to take a couple of more drones, but as we see in the units tab, we only see 12 roaches and 11 Zerglings with 71 drones. And I used one of those drones to build another building, possibly another spine crawler right here, while Sabu is just still on Stalker tech right now. I mean, he finally does have a robotics bay up, so the robotics facility will be able to churn out those Colossus. But again, he is supply blocked, and look at the supply, 92 to 148. That's what happens when you get supply blocked a lot. I mean, you fall back on the food count just a ton. It doesn't matter how much damage you do up front, even if you do win a decisive battle like he just did. I mean, 31 units lost to the 5 that he did in that battle. He is still behind on those units, so that's what happens when you get supply blocked, and that's something that you want to work on, especially on these mid to mid-high levels of play. Just really work on your supply block, and that's something that still I'm working on at the moment. We see Roach Warren, the Galil reconstitution is being researched. Still the energy is fairly low on these queens, so good for ORRY to keep up with that larva inject. I would actually like to see him spread his creep a little bit more. I mean, this is something that I've noticed in a bunch of ORRY's replays. His creep spread is pretty much non-existent. And as Zerg, you want that that creep spread to be able to move your units around the field of battle that much easier, and also to provide you vision of any kind of incoming attack. Sabu is just doing the regular thing, putting up his photon cannons for any kind of Mutalisk harass, while again being supply blocked yet again. So I'm not sure exactly how he managed that. He probably, yeah, he did kill off this pylon right over here, but a couple of pylons are actually built in the back to be able to support that. And wow, this is a very premature building of these gateways. I mean, he could just why not just it's not build 4 of these and build the Nexus here, but with that huge bank up of minerals, why not? Still pure Stalker, a single Colossi on the field. These Zerglings are going to go ahead and make mincemeat of this Nexus. These pylons are going to go down fairly quickly. Why not destroy the buildings that are already up, just so you can make sure your opponent does lose some sort of minerals. I mean, he did lose only 100 for this for that Nexus, and oh, the good old Zergling run by. It is brutal. Looking at the loss tab, we already see it looks like 10, 11, 12, 13 probes were lost in that entire exchange. So that's what happens when you aren't careful. Zergling run by is very potent. Not only does it destroy all of those probes that you're using, probes or SCVs or whatever, it destroys your workers pretty much. It also just sets you back and makes you play more defensively. So right now ORRY senses that he's kind of behind, since he already saw that Colossus tech and suffered a bunch of a big loss when he lost this hatchery. So he went ahead and did a Zergling run by, bought himself a little bit more time, and he already has Mutalisks up in the air, so he's going to be able to do a bunch more harassment. A lot of upgrades are being researched by ORRY, but an attack is coming. Purely Stalker, a single Colossi for Sabu's army, and it's going to be an interesting attack, seeing that ORRY has Roaches, Zerglings, and Mutalisks. So if those Zerglings could just do a complete surround on this force, lock these Stalkers in place, the Roaches will be able to do their damage. But with Blink, not quite sure exactly how that will work out. And it looks like Sabu is pushing forward. He's going to retake this expansion by taking it down. That's right, I said retake. What I meant is he's going to take it down fairly quickly. Those Colossi do a bunch of damage. Looks like Zerglings are pushing there to try to take it out. A single Colossi does go down. Huge loss for Sabu. I mean, that is not something you want to do. You don't want to lose your Colossi to Zerglings. And again, a lot of damage is being done by these Stalkers. Blink is being used very efficiently, but still there's just too many Roaches. They're going to try to focus fire. This Colossi already has 9 kills, and that's all it's going to get for the rest of its life, because it was destroyed in a huge shower of metal sparks and debris. But the Stalkers are going to go ahead and clean up these Roaches since they were busy focus firing down that Colossus. Another stream of Roaches are going to go ahead and get on the field of play, but they are a bit late because they're just hanging out in this little nook. Alcove, do you know this word? And Sabu has found the 4th base of ORRY. He's going to go ahead and blink forward, take it down fairly easily. Finally, the Roaches decide to get in the gear, but they are not going to be there in time to be able to save this hatchery. It finally does go down. The Broodlings are going to do their damage, but that is a complete surround on those Roaches. ORRY is out of position yet again, and yeah, the Stalkers are going to go ahead and clean up this force quite easily. Make 2 units, win, toss, LOL. Faster eco. Here comes the rage. Pretty much watching this replay, yeah. No, it doesn't change shit when you make 2 units all game. Faggot. Oh, ORRY. Tisk. I expected better from you. You just don't want to rage that much. Right now, if you knew what it was and how it was really, you would notice that you would know. Watch this replay and you would know that you aren't really behind that much. I mean, This third base of Sabu just went up. His main is completely mined out. He is essentially broke. You have a nice surplus of minerals. Just rebuild these hatcheries. Hell, take this hatchery as well and just continue on doing what the Zerg do by producing their bases fairly quickly and regenerating their units very easily as well. I mean, this is a lot of corruptors on the field of play. You don't have a greater spire just yet. You're just morphing it into, but keep harassing with this mutus. Keep your opponent off a guard, forcing your opponent to pull back to defend, and you'll have those blue loads up in no time, and you'll be able to just swarm your enemy very easily. So these attacks, the loss of this base, I would attribute to not spreading that creep. You didn't know where your opponent was, and that's why he was able to catch you off guard. So basically your scouting isn't really up to par. I mean, right now as a Zerg player, you know that the army is there, but other than that, you don't really know much else. You don't have any overlords in the anywhere scouting anywhere, and your creep is, like I said before, non-existent. And this is why Sabu is able to just attack wherever he so pleases. But right now, back at his base, let's see, taking a look over at the upgrades, we see just +3 attack. +1 armor is barely being researched by Sabu. ORRY is sitting pretty at a 2-2 for his ground forces. And it looks like Broodlords are on the field of play, so 6 are going to be morphed in quite very soon. And oh, poor Queen is going to go down again. This third is going to go down for a third time. While it looks like ORRY says, I don't want to put down a base again over there. I'm just going to go ahead and take this one up at the north. But once these Broodlords get into play, these Roaches and Broodlords is a tough combination, especially when your opponent really doesn't have anything else besides Stalkers and a few Colossi. I mean, if you kept taking a look at the units tab, we don't see any Corruptors in his army. If he would have kept about 3 or 4 Corruptors, it would have made short work of all of these, or both of these Colossi. And then Broodlords plus Stalkers, not so much, especially when you have a few Infestors as backup, a couple of fungal growths, lock them in place. It's going to be GG Protoss. Or you have drones in your army with minerals, send them back home to do their job. And finally, looks like a little push is going to happen. It looks like it's going to be for everything. A couple of fungal growths do go down. Not yet. A fungal does go down. Corruptors are finally on the field to play. They take down those Colossi very easily. Broodlords are going to rain Broodlings from afar, and ooh, look at that. Look at what happens when your opponent only makes 2 units all game long. You can make something that counters it fairly easily, while this drone is just getting ballsy. I'm interested to see what happens here. At the same time, this Stalker force is going to take down this third, and a single Broodlord isn't going to do it, bro. I mean, blink is going to happen. And no worries, we're going to have a little bit of a run by over here, and Sabu's natural Corruptors are on the field of play to tank those photon cannons. And Professor's going to go ahead and just push forward just to hang out, see what's going on. Going to get smacked around by that photon cannon, while Roche is going to do the main damage in Sabu's base, and it looks like it's time to retreat, Sabu. You do have a couple of Colossi, but once these Corruptors on the... Where'd the Corruptors go? Corruptors were taken down, apparently. There they are. Finally push forward, take down those Colossi in record time. Finally, Storm is researched. A couple of Storms do go down, but that is just not enough to be able to take down the entire army of ORRY. Those Broodlords are going to finish this entire base of Sabu, and it looks like it's going to be GG very quickly. Fucking joke, isn't it? That's right, or you're raging a little bit earlier. Now you're kind of rubbing it into your opponent's face. Up the scale on that good manners. Just a little bit. Tip it over towards a little, towards the light side of the force, if you will. Just a scotch and you'll be a-okay. But really, work on that creep spread. And the scouting. Other than that, everything seems to be a-okay on your end. And the reason I'm giving ORRY a few more tips of advice other than other than Sabu is because ORRY did send in or ORRY did send in this replay. And Sabu has sent it in. I was to give him a little bit more tips and tricks and this and this and this. More so on his side of the field, but it looks like this game is pretty much over. I mean, he does have a nice base over here. He's building Void Rays, but really that's not really going to do much. This army is just too much. He doesn't have anything else besides a few Stalkers. They're going to get pummeled fairly easily. The Broodlord count is too high. they're just going to continue raining down these Broodlords at infinite, and ORRY is just going to go ahead and mass exodus of those drones. He's just going to go ahead and put them into his main army as well. He's essentially broke. He's just pushing, trying to get rid of all of these units and buildings that much faster. And that's pretty much it for this replay. I mean, there is nothing that Sabu can build to be able to push back this army. Those gateways are done. A normal amount of photon cannons are going to save you. LOL, BLS. I'm assuming he said BS. And that's exactly how I feel sometimes when playing up against Zuri, but watching the replay, shouldn't have been so lazy. Assuming your eco will be dead. Yeah, you never want to do that up against Zerg. It doesn't matter how many hatcheries they build, they could just swarm you ad nauseum and do what he just did. At the units lost tab, we see fairly average. Resources are about the same. Units lost about half in the Protoss' favor, but that's nothing new for me. So that was it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed. I also hope YouTube lets me upload this. If you guys want me to do one of your replays, leave a link down below to one of the major replay sites, and I'll go ahead and see what I can do. Other than that, I'm going to get on out of here.